government has implemented stricter measures to combat noise pollution, mandating that nightclubs, lounges, bars, and worship centers obtain permits for events involving amplified sound. According to the state, these regulations are aimed at safeguarding residents' health and well-being during the festive season and beyond. The Lagos State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, announced the development via his official X account, emphasizing the government's zero tolerance stance on noise pollution. He stated that events with amplified sound must be conducted in soundproofed, enclosed spaces to protect residents from the harmful effects of excessive noise. The statement further noted that starting in January 2025, the government will roll out a public awareness campaign to educate Lagosians on acceptable noise levels and the benefits of a quieter environment. To enforce these directives, the government has established a special task force on noise pollution under the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency. The task force, in collaboration with the Lagos State Neighborhood Safety Corps and the Lagos State Environmental Sanitation Corps, will oversee compliance, arrest offenders, and prosecute violators of noise regulations. Mankitanen, isn't this long overdue?
It's long overdue. You know, I used to call Nigeria a theater of absurdities, and it's very unfortunate. You may accuse me of sounding pessimistic, as it were. I'm not living here. I'm like my brother, my comrade in the struggle, Dele Farutimi. I'm not living here. This is the best place to be under the sun. You know, the sort of what I prefer to call madness that we experience here. Most of the people who are involved in these things, the moment they step out of this country, they are sober. They do the right thing. And sometimes you ask yourself, is there a devil in this part of the world that is controlling our minds and the way we behave? Let me give you a practical example. You know, Dove, there are environments that you find such species of bird. If you are living in a quiet environment, they first of all come. They may come with just a stick and test the environment, how peaceful it is. If they find that the place is peaceful enough, they may come and nest. In GRA, when you talk about government residential area, unfortunate, what is happening now, if you go to GRA phase 2 in Port Harcourt, it's a shame. Because people, visitors normally move, stroll in GRA. The peaceful environment alone, people may not understand.
All GRA is more like a GRA.
And this same madness is, you know, moving from GRA phase 2, is coming to that old GRA. Because people are converting most of the facilities into command. In fact, if you go to GRA phase 2, it's like a nightclub, wide nightclub throughout. And to me, if you look at a place like Duke and then GRA per se, you will see that there ought to be that difference. Part of the reason why people create GRA is for that seniority. Now, if you're in a quiet environment, it's when you live in a quiet environment you will understand. You can have the level of thought and reasoning that will shock you. It's like when you write around 1, 2, 3 a.m. You will wake up in the morning and you wonder whether you are the one who wrote those things. That's why some people sleep to wake up around that, because there's what we call relative humidity. It's very high. If something drops in your house, somebody in the next 2-3 yards will hear. That moment, there is something that has got to do with your brain, your consciousness, and the way you are taught, your wavelength moves. Your consciousness, all the noise have died down. There's something that, you know, enhance human capacity. That is the brain in quiet environment. That's why most of the white, they go on holidays. And when some of them, they switch off their phone, go to even where bears are nesting. When they come back with renewed mindset. But that's why some people argue that the behavior we are putting up here is as a result of the environment we live in. When you go about, even in worship centers, when you hear the noise, even you enter into some churches, even the what you call it, the sound system alone is deafening. And I ask myself, something is certainly wrong with the mindset of the individuals that are behind this. Because it will impair the reasoning of the young children growing up in that environment. over time. It's like staying by a madman. Let me say a madman that was a reggae fan before, and he sings Lucky Dube's song almost 24 hours. One of the days, unconsciously, you may be watching, you begin to mimic the madman, the way he sings. You'll be shocked. It's a natural thing. And that's why some people argue that environment is everything. So when you talk about environment, any sane government must be concerned about the environment because it impacts the life of the individuals living within that environment. So for me, it's long overdue. I think that was the word you used. It's long overdue. If we are human, we should live under control. You know why all these things are happening? It's part of what I told you. I thought we are not in democracy. We are in a state of lawlessness. Some people argue that Nigeria is a zoo. I say if you call Nigeria a zoo, it is an understatement because in a proper zoo, things are organized. You can't find monkey and chimp in the same cage. Things are organized. When you get to proper zoo, things are organized. You move from this way, you say you want to see crocodile, they take you to a different direction. You say you want to see chimp, they take you to a different... Organized. There can be infiltration. But what we have in Nigeria, it's a jungle wherein people, because of the failure of the law, any individual wakes up and does whatever he or she likes. It's a chaotic situation. That's why I prefer to use the concept that Nigeria is a theater of absurdities. And it's very unfortunate that we are in such a situation. Until the law works. And when you're talking about the law working, one of the primary things about the law is nobody is above the law. But where individuals exalt themselves above the law, then you know that the concept propounded by people like Lord Denin of Blessed Memory and the rest of them, that nobody, no matter how powerful you are under the law, becomes an aberration. And that's what we have here.
Talking about the law working, let's look at the implementation of this noise permit. How feasible is it going to be? Because, I mean, with all the beautiful policies we have on ground in the country, it appears that the major challenge we have, it's not even the policies most of the times, but implementation of those policies. Now, when worship centers are mentioned, the first thing that comes to mind will be churches. You know, we'll look at different worship centers. But the first thing that comes to mind, just like when you were making your illustration, is the churches, the level of the noise, even inside the church. And now some churches are beginning to build, structures that are soundproof.
Okay.
So when you are outside, you don't hear noise.
Yes.
But when you enter into the hall itself, oh Lord, the noise is so loud. And you mentioned that. Now let's also look at the mosque, the Islamic mode of worship. I recall one time I visited Lagos. I spent some time in Lagos State. And one thing that I couldn't stand was the noise. Now, the Muslims, the mosque, very early in the morning, very early, and that usually was when I did enjoy sleeping at that point in time, because I was usually awake most of the times at night. Then very early in the morning, as early, that time when the sleep is really sweet, you will now start, they have this horn speaker that is outside the mosque. Very early, they call for prayer. At some point, I had to wake up and ask someone, what is this about? He said that's the way they call people to pray. So wherever, Muslims are around, either they go to the mosque or where you find yourself, you pray and all of that. Now, that's the noise from that horn speaker. Is something else. That noise travels miles. Yeah. And God forbid you live near a mosque. And that period we were living near a mosque. It wasn't nice. And this call for prayers happens at intervals. It's not like it's once. It happens at intervals. So now, how do you see the implementation of this? Because Christian community might be easier, but Muslim community, how do you implement that?
Now, while I was coming to the studio this morning, I was listening to I enjoyed it for the first time in a long while. I listened to a professor this morning, and something told me that there's a ray of hope. A professor of Ajiru University. He was talking about these CNG buses.
Yes.
And he said that his problem he's having is with the government. that if government wants that project to work, they should first of all convert all their vehicles, official cars, to CNG-driven facility. And then that will infuse confidence. And then they should also train more people who are engineers in that field, that this will make it work. The issue is those who are at the helm of affairs. Because sometimes the citizens act as children in the home. Children are not bothered by what the parents are saying. They live their life. They watch them. If you have a house that has camera and the father is a bully, God forbid, just keep camera in a manner that the children are not aware that there is camera. You will see your male children mimicking you and you'll be shocked. Using their sisters as in place of their mother. And they tell, just do pim, you will see me. And you watch yourself, what you have been doing. That is how it is. Nigerians, we are the most, how would I call it, the most resilient people that I've seen under the earth. All Nigerians, do you know that Nigerians are virtually doing everything in this country? They just need just simple leadership. Now, if you are talking about this, just like I was talking about the issue of Sharia, my problem is that if we are going to live together, we must find ourselves in a place wherein law is what prevails. If you say, the moment the law says you have to minimize your, even that mic, the loudspeaker, you can hear the sound from the loudspeaker, but minimized. Do you understand? At certain level. You know, when I did a research work on the legal framework for environmental management in Nigeria, the petroleum industry in focus, there is a body that is in the UK, Her Royal Majesty's Environmental Facility. That's how they call it. This body is so strong. They will just come into your facility, like this place we are. If it generates noise, there are facilities they will just place in the premises, and it will give you the noise level instantly. Those things are there. It will tell you the noise, and if you have violated it, it will gauge. It's just like you are driving on the road, like road safety and the rest of them. Technology have gone so far that they will just give you a facility like a speaker and tell you to speak to it, and to take your alcohol volume state immediately. It will gauge. You will see it by yourself that this is the level to which you are intoxicated. And when the paper will be written, you can't argue. That's how technology has gone. So if we are ready, it's sincerity of purpose that matter. If we are ready and we say, okay, this is what we are going to do. It's just like talking about the government revoking a CFO. Do you know the condition under which a CFO can be revoked? It is for overriding public convenience, not for personal. But we have a situation wherein individuals will revoke CFO properly granted to somebody and then pass through the bag and convert it into a personal property as against for overriding public purpose. So if we are serious, let's allow the concept of rule of law to prevail perfectly. It is going to improve the health condition of the people. You know, people say that a lot of Nigerians need psychiatric attention. Most of it are flowing from this. You want to go and worship God, and then you come out and you are, mentally impaired. There was a particular part of Port Harcourt that I stay. I had an office there before at Element Junction. Unconsciously, you see these glasses I'm wearing. It came as a result of an office I rented. After 1 year, we usually don't have light in that environment. I didn't know that my eyes were adjusting to the environment. Each day I come. After 1 year, the thing affected my eyes. I couldn't see well anymore.
Because we are strange.
Yes, and my pupil was adjusting, and my age was not on my side. I'm moving to the afternoon of my life. I'm heading to the evening of my life now. Presently, I'm 53. That's the same thing. When I was at Element Junction, after about a year, when I go to some place, quiet environment, you hear people who are bold enough tell you, "Monkey, you are shouting." It was somebody who told me that it's as a result of the environment you live. Because Element Junction, oh my God, the blaring of the horn of cars.
So you have to shout.
Yeah. In fact, my brother called me from UK and said, "Look, my friend, don't people have soundproof facility?" I said nothing. I said you need to leave this environment for your health. And I agree with him. That's the reality. So if we are thinking ahead, if we are even thinking about the health of our children, because the best thing parents can do is to think ahead. Except a vindictive father that would not desire that his child or her child should be greater than him or her. Right. That should be the purpose. So we should look at a cleaner and better future, quiet environment for our children that they can sit down and reason. When you are in a quiet environment, better thoughts will come to you. Right. And you can reason straight.